Hey everybody, welcome to On the Homefront. My name is John Murphy. Very happy to share some time with you right now. Perhaps we're on WILI Radio Live at AM 1400 or FM 95.3. Our shows are also video recorded for the WILI YouTube channel, so you might get us there too, 24/7 access anywhere you go. Our program today is very busy again with 3 segments. For the second half, we're going to focus on the Dionysus Theater Company in the Vernon area. They have a new production opening. And then we're going to look at Theater at Eastern. They also have a new opening called Cat's Neck, based on the work of Fassbinder. And we have 2 faculty members involved with that show. They're going to close out the show later on. But we're going to open today with Joseph White from the Willimantic Public Library. He's the Adult Program Director. And we're very happy to have you in the studio, Joe. Thanks for starting us off today.
Thanks for having me, John.
Well, I got your email, and you guys are really busy
Yes.
with a lot of things. So we're going to give a website to follow up, but Joe's going to give you some highlights to plan ahead
Definitely.
to have some fun with family and friends.
Yeah, we have a lot of incredible stuff coming up soon. Literally tomorrow, we have tomorrow evening, I believe, 5 o'clock. We have a wall art painting. So if you want a nice piece to put up on your wall, Dan of the Arts Council is providing us with the piece for that. Coming up on Saturday is a big one. We've got...
That's the 30th.
Yeah, that's... Yep.
Okay, tomorrow's the 28th.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Saturday, September 30th, 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, right down at Chilson. Same time, same place as the Downtown Country Fair. We have the Eastern Connecticut Children's Book Fair. So we've got activities for kids. We're giving away books, all sorts of fun stuff. So you can pop into us, head on over to the Downtown Country Fair, get some like homegrown honey. That's what I got last time.
Yeah.
All sorts of good stuff, all sorts of fun stuff to do. And then from there, we're into October, and oh my goodness, we are busy, busy, busy. I could talk all night.
Well, you certainly have a lot to cover. Now, you've been there for 4 years now. Have you noticed, because you came in maybe just before COVID got really nasty, so you had that whole scene.
Yep.
How are things at the library when people are beginning to come out more, they're more comfortable, even though we have a little COVID spike now, a little seasonal flu going on? People are a bit more relaxed.
Definitely.
What do you see at the library?
For sure, yeah. It's really been a joy to see the library opening up again, and with all of that, just seeing people starting to get more involved, to find new things to do. And so we've had a chance to offer a whole bunch of new programs. So everything from sort of the traditional book clubs and meetings like that, or let's see.
Let's walk through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see, just jumping through the calendar. Some of the new stuff we have is, or that I'm responsible for, is we have a Dungeons and Dragons night. We have a improv night. We've got movie nights. We just had a painting night last night. We have on Wednesday mornings Color and Calm, which is just coloring for adults. Because everyone deserves 5 minutes to sit down with a coloring book, forget about the rest of the world, and just enjoy. Of course, we've got story times for the kids. We've got little Picassos. We've got Homeschool Fridays starting up again now in October. We have an English language meetup and a Spanish language meetup for people who just want to practice languages in a very chill environment. So like I said, we're really having fun trying out different things and seeing what sticks, seeing what the community needs. So if you have input for what you would like to see at the Willimantic Public Library, we're always looking for suggestions, and you can reach out to us either on the Facebook, at our email, willimanticpubliclibrary@biblio.org, or by giving us a call, 860-617, that's my phone number. We'll try 860-465-3079. That's the library.
Now, you work in the adult programs. Libraries are resources for lots of purposes. One of them is for personal growth, but for looking for work. Maybe you could share some of the resources for adults that may add to what they have at home, but things that they may not know are available that could help them either search or retain data. Where could that help somebody?
Definitely, yeah. So, I mean, first of all, we have access to all the materials within our own library. We're also able to put in requests for libraries across the state. So if there's a particular book that you need for a project that you're working on, or a particular movie, or all sorts of other stuff, we're happy to get it for you. Beyond that, we've recently implemented LinkedIn Learning, which is a totally free to like the public through us. You sign up with your library card. You have access to all sorts of trainings for various different skill sets. If you need assistance with resumes, we have people who are on staff that help with that. We have people who come in who help with that. Really a push towards helping people not just enjoy life on their off time, but also be able to get stuff done.
Right. And how about translation assistance for people that want to become more proficient?
Yeah.
Maybe I want to do better with my Spanish, or vice versa.
Yeah.
How can that work?
Yep, definitely. So I think I would point you towards Mango Languages. Is a fully online, again, totally free to the public program that we have. It's kind of similar to a Babbel or a Rosetta Stone, and it will bring you through very starting very basic but like usable parts of the language. On top of that, we have our language meetups, which is just a very chill environment to practice Spanish. Yeah, yep. Where like for me as someone who didn't grow up speaking anything other than English, having a place to walk in where it's not a high stakes environment. I'm not trying to like sign up for or buy a car in Spanish. Like nope, it's just we're just having a conversation, and both with English and with Spanish, the people who are running it are totally willing. If you forget a word, they'll help you out. They'll teach you stuff in a very practical way.
Yeah. Now, one thing Joseph did before the show today is he sent me the newsletter that they do periodically, and he's kind of reading some of those pages. It's really loaded. You can get your own copy from the website. But I wanted to mention that you do a lot of work with Facebook.
Yeah.
So maybe let people know how that can help them follow the activities and plan ahead.
Definitely. Yeah. We have our website and we put all of our stuff on there, but it's a little old. We're working on getting a new one.
Okay.
So in the meantime, the best place to follow us is on Facebook, just the Willimantic Public Library Facebook page. We're constantly posting for upcoming events, sort of highlights of things that are happening, and also we'll have reminders. We'll put out stories. We'll use all the fun Facebook stuff to make sure that you know the cool stuff that's showing up, so that if it's something that interests you, you can pop on in. And just in general, all of our programs are free. We legally cannot charge you money for programs at the Willimantic Public Library. So coming down, just trying out something new, or finding something that you enjoy that we can help you out with.
Now, you know, something else that seems to be growing in popularity is either poetry or spoken word events. And there are a few groups. There's one in Putnam, and there's a few that are all giving people a chance to hear and listen and also read their own work.
Yeah.
And I see you have a writer's workshop as well.
We do.
What kind of writing do you work with, and how do people participate in that? That seems to be a real interesting area.
Definitely, yeah. That is that's run by our director Dan Paquette, and it's sort of similar to the language meetups. It's a very low stakes. It's a group of writers that are all working in various different fields. Some of them do poetry, other ones are working on novels, stuff like that. And it's just a place to get input from other people who are doing the same thing, who are like-minded, who have a similar skill set, who are able to give you meaningful feedback on your work, and to be able to share it again in a lower stress environment before you go to post it online or send it out to a publisher or whatever your plans are, or just put it on Facebook for your friends and family. Having that opportunity, so we have that going on there. And on the note of poetry and things like that, we ran a poetry open mic, I think a couple summers back, and we had great success, and then it sort of petered out as we headed into the fall. But if there's interest, we could start that again. And leapfrogging from that, we have an improv night that we just relaunched, I believe last month, and we're really kicking it off into here in partnership with the Theater Guild right here in town, and that's a ton of fun.
So you were part of that group that got together there last month?
Yeah, yep.
What was the audience like for that? Were they ready to go all the way with you on that? Because they have a job to do there too.
Yeah. So for you're talking for improv, right?
Yeah.
So we actually no audience, no high pressure. We're not putting on a performance. Maybe down the road, we'll see what the interest is. But it's very much, if you're familiar with Whose Line Is It Anyway? All the games that they play on there. It's just a bunch of adults in our community room back there. No great audience, no one booing or anything. We're all just having fun together. And the same way that the coloring gives an opportunity to relax, The improv does the same thing, because as adults, we don't get to just play games without judgment and be silly and be wacky. So improv is a chance to tell stories and have fun in a community.
And most of all, no animals are harmed. What can I say?
Yes.
That's the most important thing. No, but it is an outreach. And you know, the other thing is donations.
Yeah.
People often will give to Goodwill. They'll have ways to pass things on.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, going to a library can really keep that thing in circulation.
Definitely.
And it's not just dumping off everything on your front door, but are there particular ways that you take donations?
Yep.
And if I had a collection, what kind of things are you looking for that would help you the most?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
So in general, our big two things we can't take are textbooks and magazines, unfortunately, just because a lot of times they're out of date or they're not really able to be reused in a meaningful way. But anything else, we're more than happy to take, especially if it's modern, if it's come out in the last 5 years, if it's in good condition. Like all of those things are a huge help to us. And even if we can't add it to our own collection, we have places that we can donate it to. Specifically an organization called Better World Books that takes books from various libraries and other things. Yeah. And then they'll redistribute them to places that need them to make, a better world for books.
Huh.
And people too.
So what could be leftovers or remainders sitting in a box somewhere, they're out there being looked at.
Exactly, yep.
That's really nice. So, Joseph White, what made you choose this line of work? Have you done library work before here in Willie?
So, this was actually my first job working in a library, but it's definitely not my first time in the Willimantic Public Library. I'm actually Willimantic born and raised, so I grew up going to the Willimantic Library.
Local talent.
Oh, yeah.
Local talent.
My parents would bring me down, weekly. We got so many DVDs from there. What did we even watch? Anyways, memories are flooding back, all good. And then, I'd bike down as I started to get older. And so being able to go back there and now working alongside the librarians that taught me how to read is incredible. And the work that we get to do there is truly some of the most fulfilling I've ever gotten to do, where it's just pouring back into the community. It is helping people with whatever they walk into the door with, whether it's looking for a new book or an old movie, or if they're trying to get a thing printed out for the DMV. Like, we are there to genuinely help people in a meaningful way. And that's the goal of the Willimantic Public Library.
That's really great. And that's why, no 2 days are alike.
Oh, my goodness,
right?
yeah.
It's quite a range of material. Well, Joseph White, thank you very much for your good work throughout the year, for coming by today. We'll have Dan back again and some other folks. There's so many things at the library. Be sure to use it all year, especially in the wintertime. People might be inside a little bit more often. Don't hide in the cave. Get out there, meet people, and there's lots to do. So thanks for coming by.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.
All righty. So we'll continue our program today right after this short break, and we'll look at the Dionysus Theater Company in Vernon. They have a new opening. Stand by. Okay, we're back live on the Homefront. Very happy to have you with us today in the program. We're going to look at theater for the rest of the show. For the last segment today, we're going to look at theater at Eastern. They have a new thing opening up called Cat's Neck, and it's going to be based on the work of Fassbinders. We're going to have two faculty members very involved with that show here to close the program tonight. But right now, I'm very happy to have people back from the Dionysus Theater Company, based in the Vernon area. They did a great show a few months ago called Private Wars about the Vietnam War era and the veterans in a hospital. And they used a very unique black box format, which is a different kind of theater than you may be thinking about, a big stage and an audience and a proscenium. This is kind of a mental space that they create in a limited area, and it's hyper intense. It's really challenging in a way. And it's really cool to see it applied to contemporary stories that connect life today with history and tradition. So first of all, we have, as one of the founding members here, is Gabi Mendelsohn. We're happy to have Gabi back in the house again. Gabi, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And on this show, she is one of the cast members we'll talk about briefly. And also with us, we have Angela Diaz. She is also in the cast, and we're happy to have you here, Angela.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Glad to be here.
So this is opening on October 6th. They have a special opening night that we'll talk about, and it runs until the 22nd, so you have several opportunities. So you can tell us about the world of Cedar and how you're contextualizing it in the black box modality, which is so interesting.
Perfect. So as far as the way we're doing it, Seder, it takes place in this one evening where this family is having a Seder for the first time. And as they are progressing through the Seder, our main character, Miss Angela Dias, is playing Alycia, kind of goes back into her past. So there's two different timelines that's going on. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the black box style that we've created, we are currently utilizing a non-traditional space, which is called a found space. It used to be a gym, like a jiu-jitsu place. And we transformed it into pretty much a black box, which is a room, which has the staging not only for the actors and for the play itself, but we've created this area where the audience is almost a part of the stage. And I think you did mention, it's like you are thrust into that world. So it is
like in Private Wars, you were almost on the ward floor, just farther down the same floor.
And very similar. You're actually going to be almost like you're in the museum, which is the House of Terror, which is in Budapest. So you're kind of immersed in this area. I do want to leave it over to Angela to talk a little bit about the show and, her character within that.
You're also going to be part of this family's dining room as they partake of their first Seder. And I play the head of the matriarch, who has whose past was formed by some of the most tumultuous events of the 20th century. Her family was killed by the Nazis. She works for the communist regime in Hungary following the end of World War II. A very tumultuous time.
Pre-Cold War, too. After the Second World War, but before it got really hot with the Soviets.
Right,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And she's had to make a lot of very difficult choices, as many people did who lived in that era in Europe and or the whole world. It was a world war, and this is post-World War II, but it's still, the trauma of that is something that Alycia has to deal with, as well as the choices she had to make. And everything comes to a head when Alycia's older daughter, played by Gabi, comes to visit for the first time in 13 years. And Alycia is forced to confront her past by Judith, who makes her very literally, in some sense, put her face in those events and the choices she made and the consequences. Then there's a twist that I will not reveal. But, the family is like a lot of families. There is a lot of disagreement. Alycia and Judy butt heads over the choices that they each have made. Just like in life. But as in families, there's the cut up, there's the class clown. And that character is embodied by my younger son. And then there's the middle daughter, Margit, played by Michelle Abatzia. Andrew Rosenstein plays my younger son. Michelle plays Abatzia, who is the middle child and is the pleaser. So even though the events may seem remote or not relatable, the political events, the family events are absolutely relatable.
It's
we
universal.
know these people. We've seen people in our own families act like that. But they're confronting forces that a lot of us have never had to deal with.
Right. That's the classic platform for storytelling, setting up the dynamics. Now, in the narrative of this story, is there something special that's happening that's bringing them together after 13 years, like a family celebration or something? Or am I giving away a surprise? So after 13 years, there must be a reason to get together, right?
Well, the reason is the middle daughter she's arranging this Seder that they've never done together. So that's the background.
Okay.
And in this, we also have her friend David, who is running the Seder, and David is played by Chris Terrizzo, and wonderful, great comedy in there. So it's got the drama, the comedy, but I think the relatability is we all have had those family get-togethers, haven't we? And we know those dynamics, and that's all in there, right? And you have the humor, you have the fierceness, all that is blended. And the audience is participating because they are right there. And as Angela said, it's going to touch upon what we have all experienced. It's nothing that is not relatable. So
Yeah, the seeds are already there. You're just triggering
absolutely.
things. Yeah. So if this were a film, you might be able to film things out of sequence and shoot things that look like the past, and here you are at the table today. In a black box, reality cubed, how
Yeah.
do you have two places and two times?
Well, I am going to give a huge shout out to Hilary Lang, who is our lighting designer. She's doing such an amazing job. So, the technique in theater a lot of times will be lighting. Will be lighting that will help to do that transition.
Over here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's
And
for our radio listeners.
yeah. I've also done a little work with my friend Sharon on the sound, and the sound will help to transition the audience as well. So we utilize those tools to help us to kind of transition into the different worlds.
And are there elements of music at all in some way? Environmental?
There is.
Yeah, of course there is.
Of course.
So where do you take us mentally with those sounds?
I also love doing the sound design. I love listening to music and sounds and trying to create that feel. There are pieces that it takes place in Budapest, so we go through some of the music of that time. It kind of transitions us from early 1900s up to 2000, some radio clips as well to help that. So that will help move the audience in that timeline and create that feel as well. And then there's non-traditional sounds to help with transitions. Some water sounds and things like that will help move them into the different worlds.
So some sound effects and then diegetic sound that would be on the
Yeah.
set. Because I know in Private Wars it was like listening to the radio
Right.
during the music, and there were some news bulletins.
Absolutely.
That was like time travel, same
Yeah.
kind of approach.
Very similar, yes.
Yeah. So how does the cast deal with a tight area to work when they may be blocked and have more room to kind of move their elbows around and stretch? Now it's a bit more compressed, right?
Yeah.
So how do you orchestrate that?
I'm going to briefly talk and then I'll hand it over to Angela. It is my favorite way to engage because you cannot lie. You cannot lie. It's like film. Everything is seen. You're so right in each other, and so you have to be as real and relatable as you possibly can. And it's the joy, and it's, when you have the audience right there, it's that energy. And I talk again about the same thing, but it is the connection between audience and between the characters, and you just can't divide that. Now I'll go over to Angela. How about working in this space?
It's definitely an adjustment, and I have done black box theater as well as more traditional theater on a proscenium stage.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. So it is, there is a distance that you have to overcome when you're in a proscenium set.
Yeah.
But when you're in a black box, there's no distance between you and the audience. Ideally, if you're creating this realistic piece of and the magic of there, it's both. It's realism and like this magic. Everybody in the room is together, and it's an immediacy that you don't get in a proscenium setting. It does take an adjustment, though. I know there are some cast members who are like, oh, their knees are right there. I'm like, yeah. We're like, yeah, that's right. But once you're involved, it's like no other feeling because, yeah, you can say everybody's in the same room in a proscenium setting. But when you're in the black box setting, as I said, there's no gap. There's this unification that takes place. There's all sorts of connections that are made, and you feel it just more viscerally because of that closeness and that lack of gap.
Right. There's no fourth wall to cross almost. There's
Yeah.
nothing there, right?
Right.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
In case you joined us, by the way, on the radio, we're talking about Seder, which is opening October 6th, running until the 22nd. And the Dionysus Theater Company is staging these events at 45 Industrial Park Road in Tolland. And 45 Industrial Park Road. If you go to their website, you'll get all the information throughout the year. The website's really easy because it's their name, DionysusTheaterCompany.org, so you can follow up on this. One other question, too, is you're going to have the opening as a special night.
Yes.
There's something going on,
Yes.
so tell us about that.
We're doing a kickoff celebration. It's a combination of the opening of the show. It's also the theater company's 10th year. So it's we wanted to like kick it off. We are going to have some appetizers, dessert, beverages, like a basket extravaganza.
Oh boy.
So I know, it's a lot of fun, and it's a Friday night that people should definitely come and participate in. It is October 6th, and the doors will open at 7 p.m. The show starts at 8. Highly recommend that, if you're looking for a great thing to do on a Friday night, to come join us in celebrating. We do encourage, if you feel like dressing up, be a great, red carpet dress up and have a lot of fun on that opening night.
In costume, perhaps?
Of course, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Walk on the set, nobody notices.
Nobody
you
will
that
know.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
But one other question, too, because, Gabi is one of the co-founders of the theater. And it's been a few years, and I wondered if you noticed changes, either in the material that's available to you or the audience reactions, because Black Box is kind of a unique format. It's not common. So what's it been like to grow that baby?
So we had to, obviously, as most everyone in the world, had to take a hiatus from everything that they did during COVID.
Sure.
So it's a slow growing back from that area, and I know a lot of theaters have faced challenges of diminishing audiences, diminishing even members to participate. It seems like a lot of people got used to being at home, their timeline, and so to get back into it was a little challenging. But what I do notice is for the audience members that come into the space is almost like a relief to be engaged in humanity. And the reason why is, although we have such wonderful tools such as, you have Zoom and you have all those things, but you are not engaged. You have something that stops you from being fully present. There's an artificiality to it, whereas in this space there isn't. So though audience members that we do get to come back, it really is, it feels like a relief just to be human beings in a space.
Yeah. Again, it's like, you are alive. It's live theater. You are alive, and you're sharing it with all these people in the same room. It's not like being at home. I mean, believe me, it's fun sitting home and sitting on the couch, but you're just more alive when you're going to live theater.
Yeah.
Bottom line, you are alive with other people. You're sharing that experience. It's a unique experience. It's there, and then it's gone. You're not going to be able to repeat it.
Yep. No two shows are ever live
Right.
because it is live.
That's got to be amplified for the cast as well, because the audience reaction is such a part of the chemistry. Every night it's a different, who reacts to what part of the storyline or whatever.
Absolutely. And it forces, as an actor, you have to be 100% present to everything around you for that very reason. And understanding that the audience is just as much a part of the show as the other actor that you're playing against.
I mean, I can foresee that, as Gabi has mentioned, there is a lot of humor in this show as well. And we've been rehearsing that, and sometimes these things come up on stage while we're rehearsing by one of the actors, and we're like, we're laughing. We're not, obviously that's not going to happen in a performance, but we're going to have to allow for that, and we're not used to that. But we will, of course, but that's the kind of adjustment. You're constantly making adjustments.
Sure.
Because it's live.
A little improv here and there.
Right.
Or riff. Follow the script, but maybe how you do it, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no two performances are alike. Yeah.
All right, well, this is all about the Dionysus Theater Company based in Vernon. The performance space for this show, Seder, is 45 Industrial Park Road in Tolland. And the website's DionysusTheaterCompany.org. And we've had the studio today with Gabi Mendelsohn, one of the co-founders and a cast member. And also we have Angela Dias. And I thank you both for all the work you do to give us good performances. The last word.
Yes, I want to
Please.
make sure I mention everyone that has worked so hard on the show.
Tip the hat.
So I will go down. We have, again, Michelle Abatzia playing Margit, Andrew Rosenstein as Alycia, Chris Terizo as David, Bill Emerson as Shadow Tomash. We have Jamie Riopel as Shadow Attila. For as far as our lovely, fantastic backstage, we have Bill Pernetta directing. Phil Godek is not only assistant directing, he's technical directing. He basically built the house, so whoop whoop.
Hello, Phil.
Hillary Lang as in lights, and we have Ingrid Smith for doing costumes, and our team is amazing. So please come out and check us out.
Okay, October 6th to the 22nd. Many opportunities, so don't miss them. And thanks again for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a short break and move to theater at Eastern. They have another great season underway, and the next performance they have is a thing from Rainer Werner Fassbinder, Cat's Neck. And we'll talk about that after this break. Stay with us. Okay, we're back for the last part of our show today. We're very happy to have you with us here. We might be on AM 1400 or 95.3 FM. All of our shows are video recorded, as you can see, for the YouTube channel. WILI has special local shows every weekday from 5 to 6. We do the Wednesday show, and all these shows are available 24/7 on any device through the YouTube channel. And we're going to continue looking at the arts in our region. I'm always happy to have people from Eastern here in the studio. They've had a wonderful new school a few years ago, and it's revolutionized their curriculum, the skills they can teach, and the performances they can bring to the public. And they have done amazing work. They have a new season starting now, and we're here to talk about one called Cat's Neck, which is based on the work and writings of Rainer Werner Fassbinder, a fantastic filmmaker as well. And we have two faculty members here from the Department of Film, Theater, and Communication who are involved in the production. Right next to me, I'm very happy to have back in the studio Alycia Bright-Holland. She's Associate Professor of Theater and Performance Media. It's nice to have you back in the house.
Thank you. It's great to be here, John.
You bet. And the same for David Pellegrini. He's the coordinator of the first year programs at Eastern, and he's a professor of theater and performance media. David, nice to have you again.
Hi, John. Good to see you.
So maybe the launching pad is the choice, to take on Fassbinder
Sure.
and to present his ideas in this medium, which are interesting to translate.
Sure. Well, first of all, the title of the show is Blood on a Cat's Neck. So if that gives you an indication of, maybe the dark irony that Fassbinder was really well known for. This was, he's mostly well known as one of the most important filmmakers in the last part of the 20th century. Really a member of the new German film movement of the time. But what's not well known is that before, and even during his really prolific career, he also was a theater guy. So before he started making films, he was involved with two theater companies. One was called the Anti-Theater Company, and one was called the Action Theater Company. And it was here that he was starting to develop the techniques that you'll see in his films. A kind of tendency towards melodrama, a tendency towards anti-naturalistic techniques, certainly influenced by another German Titanic director, Bertolt Brecht. So he was also very politically minded, socially minded, and interestingly also. He started working with technicians and actors within that theater company that were going to work with him for the next 30 years in terms of, I shouldn't say 30 years of his career. He died at 37 years old after, in I think a period of 15 years, directed 40 films, directed 12 shows, and several serial dramas, including what most people consider to be the masterpiece, Berlin Alexanderplatz.
Absolutely.
Highly influential on everybody, especially The Sopranos creator. His name is escaping me right now.
Scorsese?
No, David
Oh.
Chase.
That's right.
Yeah.
He was prolific, though. You're right.
Yeah,
Prolific.
absolutely. Yeah. So, why this? Why did we choose this show? Well, in fact, I directed this play 29 years ago. It was the first show that I directed when I was doing my PhD program in Pittsburgh. So I'm kind of revisiting the project, and we wanted to do a show that was going to showcase one area of our curriculum, which is movement at dance theater, which is something that we're both very interested in. When I was doing some research, I published on Fassbinder before and presented, conference papers, etc. But one of the things that I learned in my research was that actually in his very early career, he worked with Pina Bausch. And I would say that if I would say Fassbinder is very influential on me, Pina Bausch also, but also on Alycia Bright-Holland here. So maybe you want to pick up where the Pina Bausch connection comes in terms of our approach to the show and how we're doing it and directing it.
Sure. Yes.
And who Pina Bausch was for people who might not know.
Okay, great. Lots to answer there. So folks who aren't familiar with Pina Bausch, she is a German expressionist mover, and she sort of coined Tanztheater, which is combining both dance and theater. And you still see those iterations in most European theatrical settings. There's not a huge difference between where dance and theater begin and end. They just work a little bit more integratedly so, which is great because I think when you have movement, it's really more inclusive, because if you don't speak the language, perhaps you can at least enter into what you're seeing someone doing.
So that would be another dimension of the storytelling.
Definitely
Through
a
the physical
huge
expression.
dimension.
On top of what's in your head, it's the body space.
Correct.
Okay.
And just the performer's interaction with space and thinking about that as another whole character, which we do, but even more so, I think, when we're more on a dance theater sort of end of things. So Pina, she was actually a student of Kurt Jauss. Probably people don't know him, but he was a very important German choreographer as well, and they were really the German wing of how modern dance develops here in America from German Expressionism. And in 1973, the year I happened to be born, Pina was made the director of the Wuppertal Theater, which she worked in throughout her lifetime until she died. And what was the other question you asked me about? Who she was. So
Her significance.
Her significance, I think her significance is like really working with the dancers and she worked with non-dancers as well. She just worked with human beings to get human emotions, and the way she worked often was like by interviewing the people in the cast and really building movement that supported their actual life stories, and would then like aestheticize it to make it theatrical.
Kind of like a director who might use non-actors to help tell a story as opposed to professional. They mix those aesthetics together.
She did have a company, though, of with a very, very
They were
talented
very
dancers.
talented and
Yeah.
technical dancers,
Yeah.
as she was, because
Yeah.
she came from classical ballet,
Right.
but broke from that because
Oftentimes worked with.
it wasn't quite a full enough picture, I think, for
Right.
her.
And I think that, the connection between the two is that both were responding to similar issues that were going on in Germany at the time, West Germany at the time, reacting to they were both, children of World War II.
Sure.
So they were reacting to the rapid rise of, the economic miracle, the tensions between East and West Germany and
Berlin.
communism.
Yeah.
They were also very, very much attuned to, you might say, the war between the sexes. So just at the cusp of, the feminist movement especially. So they were always, they seemed to have many similarities in terms of the themes that they were working with throughout their careers. So it just kind of made sense to kind of marry the two for this particular project and give students the opportunity to experience and explore different ways of working and different ways of performing
Oh yeah, it's a great fusion.
Yeah.
And it connects to history today on both fronts in terms of what's happening in Ukraine and
Right.
Europe, socially going to
Absolutely.
the right in Hungary.
Yes.
Those dark forces coming back. So this environment is what you're tapping into.
Yeah. And I think the show, based on the way that it appeared 29 years ago, and I'm certainly changing a lot of things, 29 years later. I'm different, and
Yeah.
we have a different group of students, I'm working with. And the world has changed in a lot of ways. But the show comes across as a review, like a political satire in many ways. And it doesn't come across as you might say, a straight play, but as much as it is, it almost sometimes feels like a weird musical. I mean, if I could put it that way.
There is
So-
also a structural thing that's interesting about the script that I think you should talk about.
Well,
if you can.
It's kind of divided into three parts. The first are these monologues, these characters that have seemed like boilerplate characters, like a soldier or the wife or the girl or the mistress, and these sort of like stereotypes. They deliver these monologues. Then they play these very, very brief, almost blackout scenes, sketches, you might say.
Tableau kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
Bench
and,
scenes.
Yeah, and but it's their identities start to slip. They're not who they said they were when we first meet them. All of a sudden, they have these different relationships or different aspects of their quote unquote personality, and so there are like I would say 35 of those very short, brief scenes, and in between. We kind of intersperse these sort of like cabaret numbers, you might say. We'll have the live pit band who'll be playing some interesting
The pit band is
tunes.
back.
Yeah,
Pit band is back.
It'll be
Yeah.
electrifying,
That's awesome.
and that's Rick O'Neill, who is I don't know if you know him.
I do very well.
So
Yes. Rico.
he's going to be our musical director.
He's a member of the music faculty, wonderful jazz musician.
Wonderful, and so he's
Great
creating. Students are going to be performing in the jazz band, and one of the performers, Corinne Hardy, is going to be actually a soloist, singer. So singing some, standards, and some little '90s grunge, and some Smith's Torch songs, that type of stuff. So all to a jazzy beat. You might say.
Something for everyone.
Yeah, something for everyone. How about that?
I just want to mention, if you're listening to us on the radio, this play is called Blood on a Cat's Neck, October 12th to the 15th, and it's at the Proscenium Theater in the Fine Arts Instructional Center at the Eastern Campus. Open to everybody. Go to the Eastern website. You can get your tickets for it. A question for you is, when you get to the staging, because of all the new facilities you have for projection, which has been amazing, what you've done with projections, and lighting, and the alternative lighting grids, can you paint a picture without ruining anything of how you're using that space to convey these narratives?
Yeah. Well, we really have moved into the realm of technology in regards to
Absolutely.
the projections, especially.
Yeah.
We have some of we have the technical capabilities, systems, hardware, you might say, that you'll find in Broadway houses. So students are
Absolutely.
getting trained on that type of those types of
State-of-the-art
state-of-the-art
equipment.
stuff. And so it behooves us to.
Better than Broadway houses.
Yeah, well, so it behooves us to sort of like utilize that and train students in these domains, because that's what's happening in the industry. That's where jobs are, So we need to create these. You can't use all that technology if you're doing, our town necessarily. If you see
Right.
what I'm saying, you need to
Yeah.
find the kinds of vehicles. It's not. We did our town a couple of years ago. I'm not saying that
A timeless story.
everybody has its place. Everything has its place, but we've got to make room for these alternate types of projects that really put all of these things together. And that's especially true now that we formed a new department,
Communication,
as you know,
film, and theater.
because you've been involved in communication for many years.
Yeah.
So we've merged. Theater has merged with communication. So we're now the
And film.
communication, film, and theater program.
Yeah.
And we're still working things out in terms of the new curriculum, but it's going to be something that is really unique to the state. Pretty much across the board. I don't think anybody's going to have the program that we have. So
The
it's quite
facilities
interesting.
here, the school has its own radio station,
Yeah.
it has a TV connection.
Right.
So realigning those tools to update everything for the new environment is really a timely thing.
Right.
So that's very
Yeah.
good. That bodes
Pretty
well.
exciting.
Yeah. So one last thing too, on the student side, you've both been here for many years. Students have been here for a while to get used to the new facilities. So when you see seniors who came in as freshmen and they were there in the early days. What kind of things do you see after students have a few years here to really get this stuff under their belts?
Well, I think they at least have an expansion of what they thought, like maybe traditional theater. I think they're usually more familiar with like musical theater and traditional theater. But since we do a lot of intermedial things, I think it's great for them to be able to interface with the new technology and understand how like storytelling is told for communication purposes, how storytelling is used in filmmaking, how storytelling is used in theater, so, and in dance and movement. So I think that they just start to have a broader, picture and understanding of what is already in the world and how they might contribute to, this kind of growing movement.
Yeah, we've been in the new building for what, 7 years?
Maybe?
And, we kind of got a little bit sidetracked because of COVID. So,
True.
we had a year and a half where it was like we couldn't do very much.
The radio station was shut down.
Yeah,
too.
it kind of put us back, a little bit in terms of the development and growth. I think
we
that's.
did do
but we did
productions
stuff,
during
yeah.
as you would know,
I know.
because his show kept getting closed and reopened.
Right. I came in. I think the last time I came to talk to you, we were pitching Hotel Universe.
That's right.
And then the night before we opened, 2 students got COVID and we had to cancel.
Yeah.
And then we wound up remounting the show months later and only did it on film and
That's right.
live streamed it. So
But we
it
were
was-
grateful that we had film and the ability
Yeah.
to at least,
Oh yeah.
Right.
You kinda
bring
saved the
something
show,
to
you
the
preserved it.
audiences.
Right.
Yeah. So it's also about perseverance that the students that you were asking about from freshman to senior year, because they were like there during COVID. So like
Yeah.
to be back in actual live space with an audience and the community coming together, I think that's been huge for them.
Yeah. I think that was the most important thing that we missed was that human contact.
Yes.
Hard to run a program with everybody in masks and socially distancing when contact is such an important thing in terms of the liveness of what we do.
That's right.
But we persevere, as you say,
We did.
and we've been here for many years. And those who say that theater is a dead art form, it's been around for 2,000 something years. It's going to be around forever. People want that liveness. It seems to me.
It's great how it's finding, it's like the music industry problems that, the music is alive and well. The industry has its problems. The music's alive. The kind of art you're working in, that's forever. It has to find a home, and it found a home here in different media, telling stories and connecting people.
Yeah, we're lucky.
Yeah.
We have I think that we have really. Who builds the kinds of facilities that we have for us today?
Yeah.
It's almost unheard of.
I know people in the area are still getting to Eastern to see the music theater, to see the proscenium theater, but the people that I know, when they see it one time, they're surprised at what they're missing.
Yeah.
So you have to go and see for yourself. It's right here. You don't have to drive an hour or 2 or 3. Some of this stuff is really amazing.
Also, a
Yeah.
pitch to our music program too, because they do.
Yeah.
They have a concert probably every week. And that's free. And just there's always something going on.
Check out the website, I would say.
EasternCT.edu. You can find your way to all these events. And, Blood on a Cat's Neck, October 12th is the opening. I want to thank Alycia Bright-Holland and David Pellegrini for their good work throughout the year and for being here today. I wish you a great run.
Thank
and,
you.
And we'll see you soon again.
Well, we'll
Thanks,
hope to
John.
see you at the show.
I'll definitely
Yes.
be
As a
there.
Fassbinder fan.
Absolutely. I'll be there. And this is the first of a series. As the season moves on, we'll have people here for each of the shows, and we'll keep covering Eastern arts all the time. So thanks a lot for sharing your time today with us here on the Homefront. We'll see you next week. If you want to get involved, just send an email. You're welcome anytime. John@humanartsmedia.com, and we'll see you soon.